Well, hi there, and welcome to this week's episode of Canadian Profits TV. My name is Dave Dubeau. And what do we got in store for you this week? Well, lesson number 3 of my 20 biggest lessons of 20 years of being self-employed. And that's all about not getting overly attached. And then we also have another real estate tip from our good friend and mentor, Mr. Ted Thomas, the world's leading authority on tax liens and tax deed certificates, on how Canadians can be making big money with that from American properties. So stay tuned. All right, so for my mindset minute or kind of business tip, my big lesson number 3 after being self-employed for 20 years, actually over 20 years now, is not to get overly attached to anybody in business. Now that might sound kind of harsh, but it's just a fact. You cannot get overly attached to employees. Sooner or later, all your employees are going to be going one way or another. That's just typically the days of having people employed by you for 20, 30 years, those are long gone. So never get overly attached to any single employee. Business partners, the same thing. I've had several different business partners over the years. It works out well for a while, then it stops working out so well. If you can split on amicable terms, that's always ideal, kind of like a marriage. But just know that typically most business partnerships don't last forever, so don't get overly attached to your partners. Power team members. If you're a real estate investor, you've got a power team. So these aren't employees, they aren't partners per se. They're people like your real estate agents, your lawyers, accountants, home inspectors, handy people, that sort of thing. That's your real estate power team. Just know that sooner or later, you're going to be rotating, changing power team members, either as you grow your company and your needs change, or as their performance decreases, or you realize their incompetence. So one way or the other, you're going to be going through different team members. Just know that ahead of time. Don't get your knickers in a knot when it happens. Just understand that that's part of the game. Same goes with joint venture partners, money partners. You very well may work with one money partner for multiple deals, but don't count on that money partner always being there. Time and circumstances change people's positions in life. So never get overly attached to money partners. And the same thing for clients. So if you're in business with yourself, the absolute worst number is 1. That's the worst number of clients to have. And I'm sure if you're an entrepreneur, you know of other entrepreneurs that are really dependent on something like government contracts. Well, if the economy shifts or the political parties change or things like that, they're left hanging. If all they've done is depended on that one government contract, they're in deep trouble. I've seen that myself in my own businesses before. Just having one source of new clients or having one main new client is the absolute worst position that you can be in. So again, just keep in mind when you're in business for yourself, real estate investing counts as well, never get overly attached to anybody that you're working with. That's your Mindset Minute for this week. All right, let's take a look at a quick tip from our good friend Ted Thomas and what he has to say about Canadians investing in tax liens and tax deed certificates. Check it out. Hi there, everybody. This is Dave Dubeau with Canadian Profits, and I'm here with my good friend Ted Thomas. And if you don't know about Ted, Ted is the world's leading expert on tax liens and tax deed certificates in the United States. How are you doing, Ted?
I'm great. Thank you.
Good to have you here.
Thank you.
All right, Ted, I got to ask you a tough question because it's in the back of the mind of a lot of people who are watching this, and that is, a lot of us here in Canada, we've had these so-called American real estate gurus come up here and they tell us how to do it, and they talk about short sales and this and that and the other. And there are things that work in the States that just simply don't work in Canada.
Exactly.
So people go and take these courses, spend a lot of money, and end up getting ripped off. What makes you and what you do different?
Well, what I do is a lot different than anyone else. First of all, I'm a teacher. You can't buy tax certificates from me. You're going to buy these from the government. So really the difference is I'm teaching a program that's been around for 200 years. Okay, the same program works in Canada, just pays less money. Okay, so the program is simply this. When you get involved in tax lien certificates, you invest your money with the government, you get the money back from the government. You can't give me any, I'll just show you how to do that. If you don't want to do tax certificates, then you can do tax deeds where you actually buy the property. You can't buy it from me. I just teach you how to buy it from the government, and then when you do that, you're going to give them the money, and the money will come back from the government. That's exactly the way it is.
Okay, but this is in the States, and
Right.
all of our folks are here in Canada.
Right.
Is it really that easy for a Canadian to go into the States and do this?
It's very easy. We have hundreds and hundreds of clients. Just in the 2 western provinces, I have over 700 clients. So that all didn't happen this year. That's happened. I've been teaching this in Canada for over 12 years. So I never come to Canada unless I have a Canadian sponsor. So I have a Canadian sponsor like DJ Rizzo, Alan Jacks, more recently we had Darren Weeks and yourself. I always make sure I have a Canadian sponsor so they have a chance to come and look at what we do, and they can come to our offices and look. They can look at our history and so on. I never do business here unless I do it through a Canadian partner.
All right, very good. So speaking of Canadians, and like you say, you've been teaching this in Canada for 10, 12 years.
Right.
Been teaching this in the States for like 25 years.
Right. Closer to 20, yeah, 20 years.
Okay,
Right.
so-
Yeah. I'm getting older, but that's true.
Now, it seems to me like Canada is the hot market for you as far as recruiting new students for this. Why do you think that is?
Well, it's not any hotter than any other market. The difference is that the sponsors here are looking for quality products, and they're having a tough time doing that because there's a lot of people, as you say, maybe it works in the States, it doesn't work here. So I built those rapports over 12 years' time. It took me a long time to build those rapports, and they know that when we come, that when the clients come to us, they're going to get good customer service, and if there was any question, they'll always get their money back.
All right, very good. Now, like you say, you've got hundreds of students, successful students
Yes.
from Canada investing in tax liens and tax certificates and tax deeds in the
Yes.
States. Do you notice any difference between how Canadians are doing this versus your American students?
Well, sure. Canadians are conservative, polite, and all those things. They are. Now you don't notice that. If you go to get a cup of coffee, they'll push you out of the way just like anybody else. But when it comes to doing business, Canadians are very proper. They're just easier to do business with. So they aren't any difference. They have greed glands that swell up, and they want to make some money just like everybody else. But they'll take their time. They're not. The American way is slam bam, thank you ma'am. Let's get it done, right? And so the Americans are a little bit more aggressive. Americans meaning from the States. But Americans from Canada, they'll just take their time and do it in a step-by-step process. And that's what we teach. We teach a step-by-step process. You're not going to get rich overnight in doing this. This is going to take you a little while. If you learn how to do it, everything I teach is 200 years old. And if you'll just take your time and learn it, everybody can do it. You can start with $50.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so if you'd like to find out more about how to invest in tax liens and tax deed certificates in the U.S. with Ted Thomas, we're actually doing a no-cost web class on this on Tuesday, November the 26th, starting at 6 p.m. What's the title of your talk, Ted?
Well, most people like to call it How to Make Money with Tax Lien Certificates and Tax Deeds. So that's probably the simplest thing you could do.
That's a very good title for it. All right, thanks a lot, Ted.
Sure, glad to be here.
All right, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Canadian Profits TV. As you are watching this, I'm probably on the road driving back from Calgary after our very first R2O Profits Blueprint event in Calgary. That was on November 16th and 17th. So wish me good luck because I'm probably going through the pass right about now. And goodness knows this time of the year what that's like. But what else is going on? Speaking of Ted Thomas, we've got a no-cost web class happening next Tuesday, November the 26th, starting at 6 p.m. Pacific. That's 7 p.m. if you're in Alberta. That's 9 p.m. if you're in Ontario. And that's a no-cost web class called How Canadians Are Cashing In on U.S. Real Estate for Just Pennies on the Dollar. You can register for that at CanadianProfitsWebinar.com. Check it out. Hope to see you on that web class. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.